What's up, y'all? Millie Peartree here. Today we are making cornbread. It's one of those things that is a counterbalance to any dish. It's sweet and it's perfectly paired with briny collard greens, fried chicken, or on its own with a little bit of honey butter on top. I'm sure you're gonna enjoy this soul food staple. So in this chapter, I'm gonna show you the ingredients, how to prepare it, a nice honey butter to go on top. So let's get to it. Something that's near and dear to my heart that I like to bake my cornbread in is a cast iron skillet. This was my mama's cast iron skillet. I think it possibly belongs to my grandmother as well. This thing is older than I am. Yes, thank God for that, age, wisdom, and everything. And I love this cast iron skillet so much. And what does it do? You can put it in the oven, you can fry in it, and it's a universal pan. And today we're gonna make my cornbread in this cast iron skillet. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna preheat our oven. Why? Because we want the oven waiting for us. We don't wanna wait for the oven. So let's go preheat our oven and then we're gonna get back to mixing our ingredients. So I have some cornmeal. To that, we're gonna add some all-purpose flour. We're gonna add some sugar. We're gonna add some salt, some baking powder, some cinnamon. And I love cinnamon. It just adds like this warmth to it. So you have like this sweet from the cornbread and just another flavor. And it's just delicious. I'm telling you, it's not traditional, but the beauty of our recipes are we're taking the ordinary and making extraordinary, right? So we have our dry ingredients. We're gonna give it a quick whisk just to combine them. And now we're gonna go to our wet ingredients. So in another bowl, we're gonna use 1 egg at room temperature. And the reason why we use room temperature eggs is we want everything the same temperature. So when it goes into the oven, everything bakes consistently. And then we have our unsalted butter, not super hot because we don't wanna what? Scramble our eggs, right? So we're gonna add that to a bowl. And we're gonna mix this together. And then we're gonna add the good stuff, pure vanilla extract. And a little of the pure stuff goes a long way, okay? Okay, so we added our pure vanilla extract. And now we're going to take our dry ingredients and we're gonna incorporate our wet. I like to slowly incorporate it in and whisk and stream in so I don't get clumps. Sometimes you dump it all in there and you get all these clumps. Not a good look. You want smooth cornbread. See, look at how quick that came together. So look at the texture. It's not runny, nice and smooth, and no lumps. So if we incorporated all of the liquid into this bowl, we'll be beating and then it'll be so lumpy. And then of course, if you beat it too much, it'll get tough. So we're gonna take some butter and we're gonna grease our cast iron because we don't want our cornbread to stick. And feel free to use a lot of this because butter and cornbread is life. It's everything. And we're gonna take our cornbread mixture and we're gonna get it into our cast iron. And this is like celebration food. Like we don't eat cornbread every single day. And we're just gonna smooth it out into one even layer. And perfect, right? So that's why we had our oven preheated. See, look at how quickly this came together. We mixed all of our ingredients, we greased our pan. So now that we have our cornbread into our skillet, we're gonna pop it into the oven for about 25 to 30 minutes. We're not gonna check on it before 25 minutes. Leave it in there for 25 minutes, and if it needs more time, that's when you're gonna increase it to 30. So now we're gonna make our honey butter. And what's in honey butter? Honey and butter. That's it. If you want to make a hot honey butter, you can add some spices to it. You can add whatever you want to it. But in this instance, we're just going to do honey and butter. We have a small saucepan. We're going to add our honey and our butter in no specific order. We're just going to melt the butter and the honey. We're going to get it nice and warm so it's ready for when our cornbread comes out the oven. So there's more than one variation. If you don't want the melted honey butter, you can totally whip this together as a spread. But in this instance, we're just going to glaze the top of our cornbread with it. It's gonna add like some sheen. It's gonna look really pretty. And you know, honey butter is good on top of waffles and pancakes and any type of breakfast style pastry or brunch style pastry. And that's just pretty much it. We're gonna have this melted. We're just gonna put our lid on it and it'll be ready for us. We're gonna turn the heat off. And our saucepan will keep it plenty warm and we'll just have it ready for when our cornbread comes out the oven. All right, our cornbread smells good. Let's go in and take her out. Oh, beautiful. She's gorgeous, isn't she lovely? Okay, so beautiful. So I'm gonna take a toothpick and I'm going to insert and make sure it comes out clean. Beautiful. So our cornbread is completely golden brown. The edges are nice and crispy. And I had it in the oven for about 27 minutes because I know I give a window of 25 to 30. So if you do it kind of in the middle, foolproof every time. And I just can't wait to get into this. So we're gonna baste it with some honey butter and then we're gonna take a good bite. So we're just gonna brush all of this honey butter on top of our cornbread because it's called honey butter cornbread, right? But let's be clear, I'm still gonna pour all of this on top of the cornbread. I'm just, you know, giving it an effect right now. But all of this is going on top of here. And if you wanna poke holes into this, totally do it. But since I poured it on top, it's gonna get on the bottom. Get in here, we're gonna give us a nice cut, a nice piece. That's right, we want to have us a good piece. That's right. Get in here. Beauty of it is so beautiful. It's golden brown. It's nice and shiny. It's gorgeous. How moist that is. I don't want to wait. I want to eat my cornbread hot. So it broke. That's fine. As my mother used to say, God rest her soul, you got to break it to eat it anyway. And we're just going to go in. You see how the heat coming off of that? You smell the cinnamon. You smell the vanilla. You smell the butter, you smell the honey. I like to eat food that I can smell because it makes me salivate. And I'm not gonna talk any longer, I'm just gonna get into eating. This just has such good texture. I mean, it's not overtly sweet, but it does have sweetness to it. I like the texture of it. I like that cornmeal, like the grittiness of it. But it's not heavy, it's light, it's moist, and a slight tang from the buttermilk. So all these ingredients together that we had in our pantry is something that you can just throw together and make something that's so delicious and heartwarming. And you can serve it on its own, as I did with some honey butter, have it with a cup of tea, or it can be another great accompaniment to like some collard greens or that bread that you need to bring that entire soulful meal together. In this chapter, I showed you the ingredients, I showed you how to prepare it, and I showed you a honey butter that we put on top of it, and I let you in on a little bit of my world on how personal this cornbread recipe is to me by using my mother's cast iron skillet. I'm hoping that you take this recipe and make it your own, maybe add some orange zest, whatever it is that you want to tell a story, because food tells stories.